Libra, this is your tarot reading for the month of January. I'm immediately drawn to that middle card, Three of Swords, broken heart. What are you broken-hearted about? None of the other energies necessarily suggest that it's about love, but maybe it is. In the past, you were seeking out something, seeking out some sort of action, I think, or course of action. Now we have justice. Could this be justice against you, and that's why your heart's broken? It's possible. Because in the future we have the death card. Sudden and abrupt ending. Does that come from the justice card? Oh dear. Oh dear. It's looking possible, but, it's early stages. The energy that leads to the outcome is the Queen of Swords. Firm but fair queen, and a queen that's loved. A queen that sets firm boundaries. That's interesting. The card that would change everything is the King of Wands. King of Action, maybe even entrepreneur. And the outcome I see is a good outcome, but we need to get into this much deeper. And the outcome is that of temperance. It could be about leading a more temperate life, or it could be about you seeing the other side, taking the middle ground. I'm really not sure. It looks like a fascinating spread, so I hope you'll stay with me as I try and find out what it's really all about. Yeah, the overall energy is that of the Three of Swords, a broken heart. Why is your heart broken? We really don't know. But as I say, there is a judgment coming. And there's also an abrupt ending. That would be enough to break your heart if the judgment was against you. It's a karmic judgment as well. I hadn't spotted that. Oh no, it's justice. It's justice. So it could be a court case goes against you and it brings an end to things. That probably would break your heart, wouldn't it? Now I must emphasise that this isn't fortune telling. Tarot isn't fortune telling. It's talking about energies that impact on you, impact on your conscious and your subconscious. So the energy that runs throughout this is an energy of a broken heart. And that would be very destructive. But I see the outcome as a good outcome. How interesting. In the past, you went out seeking something. Maybe it was some information. But it was some information to act on. It's something new. This is the Ace of Wands. And we do have the King of Wands later. The Ace leading to the King makes sense. But how does this relate to the other energies? I'm not sure. But it clearly is important. I think I'm going to have to return to this. Yeah, it clearly is important. Does it lead to an action that then leads to justice, which goes against you? Have you been engaged in some wrongdoing? It's quite possible. You see, right now we have the Justice card. It could even be legal justice. It could even be a court case. And normally I'd say, well, it may well go in your favour, but I just don't think it does because of the other cards. I think a court case goes against you, or something like that. Now, if you are honest, if you admit to your faults, then normally you have nothing to worry about. The justice will be firm but fair. So if you admit to what you've done and accept the justice, then you can move on in your life. But I'm not certain you do fully. No. Maybe there are elements of admitting it, maybe there's elements of accepting it, but I don't think you have fully, and you can't fully move on. The future, and it could be outside of January, we have the Death card. And I'm sure this comes from the Justice card, and is related to the Broken Heart. I'm not for 1 minute saying that there's a court case and you're executed as a result. No. But your world comes tumbling down. Everything changes, and it happens quite abruptly. Now, it is in the future, so it doesn't come immediately after justice. But it does lead. I believe the justice does lead to this ending. There's always hope. I mean, you look at the card. There's that man that looks like a Hindu who's standing up to the angel of death. There's always hope, there's always redemption, and I do see redemption in this spread for you. But yeah, it doesn't look wonderful, Libra, let's put it that way. Now, perhaps more positively, it's the Queen of Swords. She's quite well loved. She's a firm but fair queen. She's also a queen that sets boundaries, appropriate boundaries. Now, this could be important. It's sort of suggesting to me that if you have done wrong, maybe you were somewhat led astray, and you're learning from that by setting up appropriate boundaries now. Now that would make sense, and that leads to the outcome, which I see as a good outcome. It suggests to me that you've learned from this episode. Yeah, it suggests to me that you have learned. Even though I'm not certain that you fully repent, you have learned. And maybe you can move on. Yeah. It's possible that you why I'm saying that you haven't completely accepted what has happened is because you've been led astray, and so you blame others. I wonder, did you love the others and that's why your heart is broken, or have strong feelings for them at the very least? I wonder. What would change the outcome is the King of Wands, a king of action, maybe an entrepreneur. Yeah. So what would change the outcome, to my mind, is you continuing to act. And remember, we had that card at the beginning, which was you seeking out information and acting on it. And I think this king is a warning not to slip back into continuing to act in that way. It's also giving me the thought, and it's only a thought, that your crime, as it were, was something of a white collar crime. And maybe you did something in your workplace, in business, that was perhaps commonplace. You didn't feel you were any different to anyone else. And I think that's the world we live in now. You know, there's been so much deception, there's been so much wrongdoing that's gone unpunished that we think well, we might as well join in. That's what it's feeling like now. And you know, Libra, I can remember your readings for some time. You had seemingly very firm ideas about what was going on. You seemed to have a direction. And I also happen to know, and please look at your reading for 2024, that these firm ideas are destroyed. You got it all wrong. I think this is the beginning of that. Whereas the Queen of Swords, which is putting up appropriate boundaries, I think, leads to temperance, the outcome. This is you seeing the other's point of view, taking the middle ground. This does fit in with my view of sort of white-collar crime, that what you were doing was what everybody else was doing. But you now begin to see that the excesses of what was going on around you are not the way you should lead your life. And I mean, maybe you were leading something of a Champagne Charlie lifestyle, and you've resolved now to lead a much more moderate, much more temperate lifestyle. So it would suggest that you've learned something from this whole episode, wouldn't it? Yeah, not only is this a sobering energy, it's a sobering read. I think we need a bit more clarity before I can... We need more clarity on the Death card. And the first card of clarity we get is the Strength card. I think this is saying you can take it. And this whole reading seems to suggest that. The next card is the Eight of Swords. Negative thoughts, self-imposed restrictions. Interesting. And the final card is the Page of Swords. New ideas, curiosity, new ways of doing things. Let's look at each of these individually. Now remember, we're clarifying the Death card, and the first card of clarity we have is the Strength card. Now, I'd never doubted you were strong, Libra. As I was looking at your readings last year, that came across, I nearly said very strongly then, you know what I mean. It came across to me that you were strong. And I think it's saying not to pay too much attention to either this Death card nor the Heart card, the Broken Heart card. Because you are strong, you can cope with it, you can change. And I think that's what this entire reading is all about. So I shouldn't put too much emphasis on the Broken Heart and the Death card, although they're clearly going to influence you very strongly during the month of January. And as I know, your reading for 2024 does suggest massive change. And what I thought was you being very sorted in 2023 is the exact opposite in 2024, but you're strong enough to deal with it. That's what I'm being told. Now, do you remember I said I got the impression, and I hadn't seen this card, I got the impression that you hadn't fully repented, and I still don't think you have. I think you've been punished. I think you're still saying to yourself, well, everybody was doing it, and that is the reason for your broken heart. But as a result of your punishment, you choose to restrict what you do. And remember, we do have that King of Wands, which I read as being that you continue doing what you're doing. But no, you decide to change what you do because you don't want to be punished again. And remember, we've also got that Queen of Swords, which is boundaries. So I think you are changing what you do without fully accepting your own wrongdoing. And in doing so, that brings about this ending, because your life as it was has to end and has to change. But remember, we got the Strength card and you're up for it. And the final card is the Page of Swords. Looking for new ideas, looking for something creative. So this is you changing. This is you changing. As I say, I'm not sure you fully accepted what you did was wrong, but you're accepting the need to change and you're looking for how you must change. So that is positive in a way, isn't it? You know, there's enough positivity in this spread to say, yeah, you're on the right road, but it's not saying that you've completely committed to it. And, you know, thinking in terms of global events, as I looked at your readings, particularly the back end of this last year, you seem to have understood things and got things together. But the truth is you hadn't moved on. I don't think you'd spotted the real changes that had gone on in society, nor the justice and indeed the judgment that was coming for those who'd lived their life by greed, by manipulation, etc. And now it's come for you. You, I believe, were a minor cog in the wheel, but then we all were to some degree. Your struggle is in admitting it to yourself. But once you can, you will move on. Well, I think we can summarise for you. Libra, certainly throughout the latter part of 2023, you seem so together, you seem to have understood things. But if you've not listened to your 2024 reading, then please do so, because it all falls apart. And this reading is a part of that. It's the beginning of it. You've been involved in something which is a little bit unsavoury, but you probably think, well, everybody was doing it, you know. It could have been to do with your work, it could have been to do with business. Probably all around you were engaged in the same thing. You might even say, well, some were much worse than me. And the fact that you get caught and punished for it breaks your little heart, because you're going, why me? So what you're not doing is you're not saying, holding your hands up and saying, yeah, I did it, I'm sorry, I accept my punishment. And nevertheless, you do realise that you have to change your ways. You see, I think you're probably quite a conservative person, and you're probably saying, well, you know, I didn't know that what I was doing was wrong. In your heart you probably did, you know. But I didn't know what I was doing was wrong, and everybody seemed to be doing it. But if things have changed, then I must change with it. There is the temptation to keep doing what you were doing. And if you follow that temptation, then things can only get worse for you. I'm certain of that. No, what you resolve to do is you resolve to put up boundaries, to restrict what you do, to try and at least fall into line a little, and to lead a more temperate life. Now, I don't know if what you were doing led to a sort of Champagne Charlie lifestyle, but it might have. And you have to change that, and you know you have to change it. It might be just about trying to see the other point of view. It might be just about taking a more middle line on things, but you do need to do that. And yeah, it does result in your entire world changing. Everything is going to change for you. It'll feel like the end of the world as you know it. And, you know, you do go out seeking new information on how you should live your life. But as I say, 2024 isn't a great reading for you, because I don't think you ever fully accept what you did was that wrong, nor that you should have been punished as you were. And that would be the key to putting it behind you and leading a better life. But I don't quite think you do. I don't want this to sound like a terrible reading. I mean, clearly your world comes tumbling down. Clearly your heart is broken. But you do have strength. You can see this through, Libra. So I think there is a more than a ray of hope in this spread for you.